Hey there! Ready to shrink down to miniature size?
Um,
Today's deep dive takes us into the intricate world of miniature set design for film. You know those
hmm
jaw-dropping scenes, the ones that make you wonder, how on earth did they do that?
Right.
We're about to find out. We've got a stack of insights from RoleCatcher.com.
Okay.
They're all about career paths, and their guide on this one is fascinating.
It really is a hidden corner of filmmaking. Most people don't realize the artistry
Yeah.
and precision that goes into creating these miniature worlds.
Right. I mean, RoleCatcher describes a miniature set designer as someone who designs and builds miniature props and sets,
hmm
which sounds pretty straightforward, but
Yeah,
it's so much more than just shrinking down real-life objects, isn't it?
absolutely. Think about it. Miniature set designer isn't just building a tiny chair or a lamppost.
Right.
They're creating entire environments that need to be believable and functional on camera. We're talking sprawling cityscapes, alien planets, historical landmarks, all meticulously crafted to scale.
It's mind-boggling. And what I find really interesting is how this field blends traditional craftsmanship with cutting-edge technology.
Right.
The RoleCatcher guide mentioned using everything from hand tools to CAD software and 3D printing.
Which makes sense, right. Filmmaking has always been about pushing boundaries, and miniature set design is no exception.
Yeah.
Those traditional handcrafting skills are still essential for creating textures and details that are hard to replicate digitally. But now, with tools like 3D printing, designers can achieve even greater precision and complexity in their work.
It's like this amazing fusion of old and new. And speaking of pushing boundaries, the guide also highlighted how miniature sets are often used for those really complex shots, especially when it comes to practical effects.
Yeah,
For anyone who's not familiar with the term, practical effects basically means anything done for real on camera as opposed to being added later with CGI.
exactly. And miniatures are especially useful for creating realistic illusions of scale and movement.
Okay.
Remember that iconic scene in Blade Runner with the rain-soaked cityscape?
Oh, wow.
That was a miniature set.
No way. I had no idea.
Oh, yeah. It's a classic example of how miniature sets can create a sense of grandeur and realism that would be difficult and expensive to achieve with CGI alone.
That's incredible. It's like they're manipulating our perception of space and reality right there on screen.
Exactly. And it requires a deep understanding of perspective, lighting, and how to work with the camera to sell the illusion.
So it's not just about building something that looks good up close, it's about how it translates on camera, right?
Absolutely. It's a very collaborative process,
Right.
working closely with directors, cinematographers, and special effects teams
Right.
to ensure that the miniature set integrates seamlessly with the overall vision of the film.
Okay, that makes me appreciate the art form even more. Now, I know our listeners are always eager to learn about different career paths, and RoleCatcher breaks down the different stages of a miniature set design career. They start with the entry-level designer, which, as you might guess, is all about learning the ropes.
Exactly. Imagine yourself walking onto a film set, well, a miniature film set, that is.
Yeah.
You'd be assisting senior designers, mastering those fundamental skills, getting your hands dirty, and probably using more glue than you thought imaginable.
Sounds like a crash course in miniature mastery. And
Yeah.
as you gain experience, you'd move up to a junior designer role.
Right. And this is where you really start to apply those foundational skills and contribute your own creative ideas.
Okay.
You're working more independently, collaborating with other departments, maybe even getting to lead small projects.
It's exciting to think about that progression, going from assisting to leading.
Absolutely. And the learning never stops. Each project presents unique challenges and opportunities to experiment with new materials, techniques, and technologies.
So you're working your way up the miniature ladder, honing your skills, and then you hit that mid-level designer stage. What changes? What does that look like?
This is where things get really interesting. As a mid-level designer, you're not just creating elements of a set anymore. You might be overseeing the design and creation of entire miniature environments.
Wow.
You're managing teams, juggling budgets, and making sure everything aligns with the director's vision and the production schedule.
Wow. Talk about a lot of responsibility. It sounds like you really need a deep understanding of the entire filmmaking process at this stage.
Absolutely. You need to be able to anticipate challenges, problem solve on the fly, and communicate effectively with different departments.
Hmm.
Remember, filmmaking is a collaborative art form, and miniature set design is just one piece of the puzzle.
It makes you appreciate how much work goes on behind the scenes of even a short scene.
Right. Every detail matters.
Yeah.
And as you progress to a senior designer role, you're not just responsible for the technical aspects of miniature set design, you're also seen as a creative visionary.
So you're like the conductor of a miniature orchestra, bringing all these different elements together to create something truly magical.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is that this career path isn't limited to big-budget Hollywood productions. RoleCatcher highlighted how miniature set design skills are transferable across different industries.
Oh, totally. It makes sense when you think about it. I mean, architecture immediately comes to mind. They use incredibly detailed miniature models all the time.
Precisely. Architects use miniature models to visualize their designs, test spatial relationships, and communicate their ideas to clients.
Right.
It's the same principle of creating a believable world, just on a different scale.
And it's not just architecture, right? RoleCatcher mentioned how these skills are valued in engineering, product design, even video game development.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Think about the model airplanes or doll houses you might have built as a kid.
Right.
Those same principles of scale, detail, and problem solving are applied in a professional context across various industries.
It's like you're tapping into this universal desire to build and create, to bring ideas to life in a tangible way.
Exactly. And speaking of bringing ideas to life, RoleCatcher had a really interesting section on the challenges and rewards of this career path.
Okay, let's dive into that. What are some of the hurdles someone might encounter in the world of miniature set design?
Well, it's a highly competitive field, for one, and it often involves long hours, tight deadlines, and a lot of problem solving under pressure. It's not for the faint of heart,
Right.
but for those with a true passion for the craft, the rewards are immense.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, seeing your creations come to life on the big screen has got to be incredibly rewarding.
Absolutely. Imagine pouring your heart and soul into building this miniature world, meticulously crafting every detail, and then seeing it on screen, contributing to a story that moves and inspires people. That's a pretty special feeling.
Talk about job satisfaction, but it's
Yeah.
not just about the glamour of Hollywood, right? RoleCatcher emphasized the importance of finding joy in the process itself, the meticulous craftsmanship and attention to detail.
Exactly. The real magic happens in those quiet moments of focus, when you're completely absorbed in the task at hand, whether it's carving a tiny piece of furniture or figuring out the perfect lighting for a miniature cityscape.
It's like meditation, but with more glue. And speaking of finding your zen in the details, RoleCatcher had some fascinating insights from actual miniature set designers, sharing their experiences and advice for anyone interested in pursuing this career. What were some of the highlights?
Well, one common thread was the importance of hands-on experience. It's one thing to read about miniature set design, but it's another to actually roll up your sleeves and do it.
Right.
They stress the importance of starting small, experimenting with different materials and techniques, and not being afraid to make mistakes.
That's great advice for any creative field, really. You learn so much more by doing than by just observing.
Absolutely. And they also emphasize the importance of finding mentors and building a network within the industry. Reaching out to more experienced miniature set designers, attending workshops, and even just watching behind-the-scenes documentaries can provide invaluable insights and inspiration.
It sounds like building relationships is just as important as building those incredible miniatures.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking of building, let's talk about the future. With the rise of virtual production and all the amazing things happening with CGI,
Right.
I'm curious, what did RoleCatcher have to say about how those advancements might impact the future of miniature set design? Is there even a future for it?
Right. Is this a shrinking career path? Or is it more like CGI enhances what they can do? What's the prediction?
Well, they seemed optimistic.
Alright.
They said it's not a case of one replacing the other. It's more like these technologies can work together, each playing to their strengths. Sure, CGI can create these massive, fantastical worlds,
Right.
but there's still a certain magic to capturing something tangible on camera.
It's like that feeling you get when you see a live play versus a movie. Both are great, but there's a different kind of energy when you know something is actually happening right in front of you.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget, even with all the advancements in CGI, it can still be incredibly time-consuming and expensive to create certain effects digitally. Sometimes using a practical miniature set, especially for complex lighting or movement, is just more efficient and cost-effective.
That makes a lot of sense. So what you're saying is that miniature set design is more likely to evolve than to become extinct.
That's my take on it.
Yeah.
Think about it. Miniature set design has been around for over a century. It's weathered a lot of changes in the film industry.
Right.
And I suspect it will continue to adapt and find new ways to amaze us. Who knows what incredible new materials and techniques they'll come up with in the future. It's an exciting time to be a miniaturist.
Or to be someone who just enjoys marveling at their work. This has been such a fascinating deep dive. I feel like I've gained a whole new appreciation for the artistry and skill that goes into creating those movie moments that transport us to other worlds.
Me too. And the best part is, you don't need a Hollywood budget or a film crew to tap into that creative energy. RoleCatcher reminded us that anyone can explore the world of miniature creation.
Exactly. You can build a miniature version of your bedroom, your favorite bookstore, even a fantastical landscape you dream up.
Yeah.
The possibilities are endless.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher.com has a ton of information on this career path and many others if you're looking for your own deep dive into the world of work.
It's a fantastic resource for anyone who's ever looked at a movie set or even just a well-crafted model and thought, I wonder how they made that. Well, now you know a little bit more, and hopefully you're feeling inspired to explore those what-ifs a little further. That's it for today's deep dive. Until next time, keep those imaginations running wild.